Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. In today's video we're going to look at getting started with Trog's Trog Herd in Warhammer Age of Sigmar using the 2025 Holiday Battle Horse box set, the Dankhold Rampage. In the video we'll give you a brief overview of who Trog's Trog Herd are, their basic Army of Renown rules, and look to use the box set that we have here as an initial starting point. Then throughout the video look at other units to use and expand upon that initial box set, finishing off the video with a fleshed out 1500 point army for you to use in your games of Warhammer Age of Sigmar. Trog, the Troggoth King, is a massive and powerful Troggoth awakened during the Era of the Beast. Trog is a Troggoth of immense size with a thick stony hide and a pair of curling antlers jutting from his skull. On his back is a strange structure surmounted by a rune-covered laystone. After centuries passively absorbing the magic of the realm of life, Trog has impressive regenerative capabilities even by the standard of Troggoths. Coupled with his thick hide, even cannibals are little more than a passing annoyance. His huge hands are fully capable of engulfing a human and squeezing the life out of them. The strange laystone on Trog's back is attuned to the ley lines that crisscross the mortal realms and allow him to see them as motes of light, much to his annoyance since the constant brightness gives him a constant headache. Trog cannot control the laystone, though sometimes when he whacks it with his club he can influence it in change to what kind of magic it is attuned to. The magic spills from the laystone portal, affecting Trog in strange and dangerous ways. Being attuned to Chamon, for example, might have him have a steely hide, or being attuned to Gur might make him and those around him even more ferocious. How Trog came to be and how exactly he got the laystone stuck on his back is unknown. He slumbered for thousands of years beneath Gyran before Alariel's right of life disturbed his slumber, and even so he might have gone back to sleep had the rabble-rouser Braggett Big Talker not annoyed him so that he charged out of his cave in order to put an end to the racket. Braggett managed to stay one step ahead, giving Trog the title of Troggoth King to help spread his legend. He was lured through a realm gate to Akshi, where he rampaged across the Great Parch, following the ley lines and destroying anything he found along them in an attempt to silence his constant headache. He attracted a large number of Troggoths in doing so, making a vast Trog herd, as well as hordes of Grots and various hangers-on, including Braggett Big Talker, who Trog has never managed to catch and squish yet. By the time he reached the Adamantine Chain, he had smashed multiple strongpoints and Dawnbringer expeditions to dust, as well as a dozen magma holds in an attempt to put out their shiny lights that only he could see. He slew the Mial, youngest rune son of Baal Grimnir, and several injured Baal Grimnir himself, though the rune father fatally wounded him in return. Somehow though, instead of dying, he was transported to Ulgu, where he regenerated and continued to hunt down sources of his headache. And so before we go into looking what's in the initial box set, we are going to talk about the Trog's Trog Herd Army of Renown special rules that we get. Now, an Army of Renown is sort of a special version of a type of army in the game with a lot of restrictions generally forming around a narrative force. In the case of Trog's Trog Herd, it's a Gloomspike Gitz army that focuses on Trog and his Troggoth horde. Now, when you pick the Gloomspike Gitz faction as your army, you then pick Trog's Trog Herd as your Army of Renown, and you don't use any of the faction rules for Gloomspike Gitz, instead you use the rules we have here. Now, this does restrict his roster options to just Trog and all the different types of Troggoths. You also can't include any regiments, renown, or faction terrain. That doesn't really hurt us that much. First of all, the battle trait of Herd Healing is a passive ability where each time a friendly Troggoth uses a fight, after that ability has been resolved, they heal D3, and this means we get healing in addition to the regular Troggoth healing, so we're generally healing 2d3 over the course of a turn if we're fighting. And then Aura of Haywire Magic means Trog's sort of malfunctioning laystone ability targets all Troggoths on the battlefield, not just those nearby him. Moon Touched Hide in battle rounds 2 and 3, we subtract 1 from the rend of characteristics of melee weapons used by enemies that attack any of our Trog Herd units. And Living Landmark means we can pick a friendly Trog's Trog Herd unit and put them in reserve as a Living Landmark, or Broken Slumber allows them to bring us on the table. So particularly cool is, we just have a Troggoth that essentially looks like a boulder when he's there sleeping, and then just appears out of nowhere out of a piece of terrain and goes and smacks our opponent up. Today's video is sponsored by Gap Games, a fantastic miniature wargaming store in Queensland, Australia. They stock a wide variety of miniature wargames from all things Games Workshop to some of my personal favourites, Conquest, The Last Argument of Kings, and all things Modifius wargames as well. Use our affiliate code in the link below to help support both this fantastic store and the channel as well. And so, of course, the initial box that we have is led by Trugg, the Troggoth King himself. Now, he is a fairly solid hero. 16 health, 4+ save. Obviously, we've got the healing ability of greater regeneration, just heal d6. This, when we go on Trugg's Troggoth Herd, when he fights, means he heals d3 and d6 each turn, which is really cool. But the big thing here with Trugg, of course, is a malfunctioning laystone. This means we roll 3 dice and pick one of those dice and apply the effect to correspond. Effects 2 to 6 persist until the start of your next turn. This is pretty cool because it does mean we've got sort of a good variation on what we can choose from. We're not going to necessarily get stuck with one single choice. You'd be really unlucky to get that, though I'll say it, I have seen it. But these can range from doing damage to Trugg himself, giving him a 5-up ward, potentially giving bonus attacks, rend, or even unbind abilities of a wizard as well. So a bunch of cool abilities nonetheless, and you can sort of hopefully get the ones you need, or at least you're going to get enough that you can sort of make one work for you in the force. His crushing grip ability as well is his rampage, where you can essentially just rock up and squish the life out of some dude. He is a unique character. Now, this might sound, I guess when you're thinking of Trugg, self-explanatory. What it means by unique, though, rules-wise, is that you can only include one of him in your army. He's a special named character. He's a part of the story, part of the setting proper of Age of Sigmar, so there's no duplicating him. The Warmaster keyword he has as well means he always has to be your general, unless there's another Warmaster present, and then you can pick. After that, we then have Rockgut Troggoths, and these make up the majority of the Troggoths in the box set. They are 5 health, 4+ save with a 5-up ward at standard and a d3 heal at the start of every turn. This is just really solid. They're a super survival unit that, you know, when they spike damage, can do a lot of damage. Only 2 attacks each is probably their biggest downside, but Trugg can get them extra attacks, which is really cool. But they are rend 2 damaged 3 on those attacks, so when they hit, and when they hit well, they do a lot of damage. All in all, they can throw boulders as well, giving you a little bit of extra range damage, though quite unreliable with 1 attack and 5s to hit, but it is there nonetheless. The other Troggoth unit we have are the Fellwater Troggoths. Now, these are the other unit of like multiple models that we have access to. Their shooting attack is much shorter range than the throwing boulders, but it is a shooting combat weapon, so you always get that damage there. And their spike clubs are much less damaging than the Rockguts, though you do get double the amount of attacks with them. Regeneration, start of turn, same as your other Troggoths, but then you have Noxious Vomit as well, where any damage points are allocated by the Noxious Vomit ranged attack, your enemy unit is drenched in vomit and then has -1 save and ignore positive modifiers to their save roll. They're really important because it does mean, you know, these things can have pseudo, essentially rend 2, stopping your opponent being able to negate any of that as well. The last model we get in this box here is a Dankhold Troggoth. Now, this is a Troggoth monster that we have access to. 4 attacks with d3 plus 3 damage, 2 rend, 4s to hit, 2s to wound on its profile. Solid. It is on that lower echelon of monsters in the game with just 10 wounds and a 4-up save, though it does have the regeneration d3, which, you know, if it gets into combat and starts fighting, it's 2d3 regeneration a turn. Magical resistance is nice, meaning enemy spells half the time will just bounce off the model, and Wade and Smash for its special ability means once per turn during your army, you can use this rampage and potentially get some extra damage done to your opponent. Now, what that once per turn army rule means is only one of these models per turn in your whole army can use it, so taking multiple of these, you don't get to use this ability on all your different Troggoths. So, looking at where to next, and we're going to look at the Dankhold Troggoth. This is the alternate build kit for the Dankhold Troggoth. It's a character unit for them, enabling you to open up other regiments and include more units in your army without having to take auxiliaries. You've got a heal d6 on it at the start of any turn, which is really cool, so more healing than your other units, and you are in more random d6 damage, but you do have more attacks as well. Magic resistance is there, like the Dankhold Troggoth. And you've got the Shepherd of Destruction, where you can actually get +1 to the attached character of melee weapons by Troggoths nearby this one. This is really cool when we consider we can get that bonus and actually make the Rockgut Troggoths vastly more deadly with the extra attack. Now, this is a once per turn army, so obviously you can only use this once. Potentially having multiple in this army, though, does open up on where you can use this across the table. Having multiple of these stationed and get the +1 attack where you need it is a cool way to run these. And so our force today is obviously Trog's Trogherd, army renowned for the Gloom Spike kits. Our first regiment then is led by Trog the Troggoth King himself, who has to be our general. We then have unit-wise a Dankhold Trogboss in his regiment, and this one is actually going to have a couple of artifacts. Crunchy Shinies and Lunestone Teeth allow us to make this model pretty decent at getting into combat out of reserve. This can be a little sort of missile we can shoot at the enemies and won't necessarily be a piece that we're going to worry too much about losing, so long as it does the damage before it goes away. This would be the one that I would probably set up in reserve for the army. We then have a unit of Fellwater Troggoths and 2 units of 3 Rockguts. Yes, the Rockguts become vastly more effective when you do put them in one big unit of 6, but I wouldn't do that until you go to 2,000 points, as you do need more units on the table. Our second regiment is then just a single Dankhold Trogboss, a second one for the army, and a Dankhold Troggoth. We hope this video was helpful in getting you started with Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and it was able to give you some ideas and inspiration to start your own force in the game. If you have any other questions at all, please comment down below, and while you're there, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe, and join our Discord server to check out all our future Warhammer Age of Sigmar content.